Welcome to BBC News, broadcasting to viewers on public television in the US and around the globe. I'm Regid Ahmed. Our top stories. Saying goodbye to the greatest. Thousands gather for the funeral of boxing legend Muhammad Ali. Hours after food aid arrives in the besieged Syrian city of Daraya, reports of a major military attack. A winning start for hosts France in the European Championship, but security remains tight across the country. And a service of thanksgiving at the start of the celebrations for Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday. Hello and welcome. An emotional memorial ceremony marking the life of the boxing legend Muhammad Ali has taken place in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Thousands took part in the service to celebrate Ali's sporting and social achievements, praising his commitment to peace and human rights, as well as his refusal to conform and his readiness to stand up for his principles. Our North America editor John Sopel reports from Louisville.
They came.
The rapper and music producer Chuck D spoke to the BBC earlier. He was asked how much Muhammad Ali's outspoken resistance to racism and the Vietnam War had inspired him. And that was the rapper and producer Chuck D speaking to the BBC about what Muhammad Ali meant to him. The Syrian military has reportedly attacked the besieged rebel-held town of Daraya, dropping close to 30 crudely made bombs from helicopters. This came just hours after the government had finally allowed the UN to make a food aid delivery to the area, the first in 4 years. Tom Donkin reports. More than 1 million people have signed a petition calling for the judge in the controversial Stanford University sexual assault case to be sacked. Judge Aaron Persky has been heavily criticised for giving student Brock Turner 6 months for assaulting an unconscious woman last year. Prosecutors had called for 6 years. Turner was seen by 2 other students sexually assaulting his victim, now 23, behind an outdoor rubbish bin. Turner, a Stanford University swimmer, tried to flee the scene but was caught and later admitted to the assault in court. He's now been banned from ever competing in a USA swimming event. And now in other news, Libyan forces aligned to the unity government in Tripoli say they've now taken control of the port in the city of Sirte, following fierce fighting against Islamic State militants. The battle for Sirte, the most significant IS stronghold outside of Iraq and Syria, began last month. Peru's presidential candidate, Keiko Fujimori, has accepted defeat in Sunday's vote. She's thanked her supporters and wished good luck to the new president, the former World Bank economist Pedro Paulo Kuczynski. He won the vote by a very narrow margin, getting 50.12% of votes. And she's the daughter of the former Peruvian president, Alberto Fujimori, who is in jail serving a lengthy sentence for crimes against humanity. Mr. Kuczynski said he would use his experience to attract investment and promote economic growth. In Paris, French fans have been sent into raptures as the host nation claimed a 2-1 win over Romania in the opening game of the Euro 2016 Championship. It took until the very end for the French to seal victory. Despite stringent security, thousands of supporters turned out for the game. The BBC's John Bennett was among them as they celebrated. Well, elsewhere in France, the southern city of Marseille has been the scene of clashes between English fans and police for the second night in a row. Authorities used tear gas to try and disperse the troublemakers as ugly standoffs broke out. Members of the riot squad were pelted with glass bottles as a number of fans were arrested. About 1,000 extra police will be deployed to Marseille before England's first game against Russia on Saturday. Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday has been marked at a national service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral in London. It's the beginning of 3 days of events to mark the official birthday celebrations after the Queen's real birthday in April. The service was attended by members of the royal family, including the Duke of Edinburgh, whose own 95th birthday was on Friday. Our royal correspondent Nick Witchell has more. Well, stay with us on BBC News because still to come.
Detroit's Gordie Howe on his way to his third goal of this game.
Goodbye, Mr. Hockey. Gordie Howe, one of the most famous names in the history of the sport, dies at the age of 88. This is BBC News. I'm Regid Ahmed. The latest headlines. An emotional memorial ceremony marking the life of boxing legend Muhammad Ali has taken place in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Just hours after food aid arrived in the besieged Syrian city of Daraa, there have been reports of a major military attack. Gordie Howe, one of the most legendary figures in ice hockey, has died at the age of 88. In a career that spanned 5 decades, he won the Stanley Cup 4 times. The BBC's Tim Orman looks back on his life and career. She's one of the most successful writers in the world. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books have sold hundreds of millions of copies and spawned a series of blockbuster movies. Now she's preparing for the latest Potter instalment, a 2-part play. It's called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child and had its first preview this week. Our arts editor Will Gompertz has been speaking to J.K. Rowling and those involved in creating the play. For the first time in Broadway history, the 4 top musical acting prizes at the weekend's Tony Awards may go to people from ethnic backgrounds, a stark contrast to the Oscars, where earlier this year African Americans and Latinos were shut out of the top tier. So what is the driving force behind the change on Broadway? Well, the answer may lie in the blockbuster hit Hamilton and its diverse cast. Tom Brooke reports from New York. Here in the UK, the singer Rod Stewart has been knighted in Queen Elizabeth's birthday honours list, which also recognises the achievements of the British astronaut Tim Peake. He'll become a Companion of the Order of St Michael and St George. Among those being made OBEs is the actor Brian Blessed for his services to the arts and charity. He said he was very pleasantly surprised. Well, don't forget you can see more on today's tributes to the boxing legend Muhammad Ali on our website, where there's a live page following Friday's emotional memorial ceremony celebrating his life. That's at bbc.com/news. See you soon.